Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith, and I would like to welcome you to the Keep It Pro training call brought to you by Networking Wisdom each and every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific for the past 6.5 years. The purpose of this call is not only to teach you specific business skills, but it is also to teach you life skills that are essential to getting you to the next level in both business and your personal life. I have the honor and privilege to introduce the creator and host of this call, Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Romacio is an extremely successful international entrepreneur, as well as a sought-after leader, trainer, coach, and mentor. Romacio not only teaches others, but he himself applies what he teaches through his intense focus and dedication, which has allowed him to achieve unprecedented success. In the 6.5 years I've known Romacio, I have seen him build a team of over 750,000 people. I have seen him break records in network marketing, become one of the world's top MLM income earners, and help thousands of people all over the world make life-changing income. Over the last several years, Romacio has made it his number one focus to grow his faith and relationship with God. His dedication and faith are so strong that I have seen him go through incredibly tough times, and yet he can bounce back in minutes. I have seen miracles occur right in front of us because of his strong growing faith. He has been an incredible example for me as to how faith can change your life. Having said that, Romacio puts 100% of himself into these calls to share everything he has learned in the hopes that his listeners can benefit from his words. Each of these calls are intentional. Romacio's number one goal is for it to be a blessing to other people because he truly believes what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. He is on this call today to serve you, to teach you, and to enlighten you. Without further ado, let me get out of the way and introduce your millionaire mentor, marketplace minister, Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Are you there?
Absolutely, I am here. Can you hear me, Meredith?
Yes, I can.
All righty. Thank you so much for stepping up and being the host here today on another Sunday Keep It Pro Training Edition call. Guys, we've been doing this call now for a little over 6.5 years. Before you know it, it's going to be 7 years that we've been consistently doing something that God whispered into my ear over 7 years ago. I want to thank each and every single one of you that have come on this journey with us. Specifically, I want to congratulate all of you that have listened to us live, and frankly, all of you that have listened to us on the YouTube or on the replay. I'm just happy that you're still here and you're still learning, and there's still growth that you're getting from these calls. And hopefully you're sharing the message with other people. Guys, I'm really, really excited for the next, let's just say, almost 60 days before we get, almost 90 days before we get to the new year. I'm very, very excited about it. And I want to tell you, do me a favor right now. And I want all of you to do it. And I'm going to pause for about 30 to 45 seconds to give you time to do it. I want you to go to your calendar, whether you use it on your cell phone, whether you use it on your computer, or whether you're old school like me and you actually have a manual calendar at your house. I want you to circle right now or schedule this specific time to be on the call between now and the end of this year. Every Sunday, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 6 o'clock for those of you that live in the Central Time Zone, 7 o'clock for those of you that are on the East Coast, and Lord only knows whatever time it is for those of you that are calling in from other countries to be with us. But do me a favor, let's just take 30 to 45 minutes and be intentional. I want you to schedule this call. Now, some of you, you've already scheduled it. Good for you. You're what we call the head of the class. But for those of you that are here, perhaps maybe this is your first time. Maybe someone said, hey, man, there's this free call. It's a lot of value here. You got to jump on it. There's this guy, he talks really loud, but it's good stuff he talks about, and perhaps this is your first time. If this is your first time to the call, we welcome you. I want you to know that this call is open to any man, woman, boy, or girl anywhere in the world. anybody that has an entrepreneurial bone in your body, this is a free call for you. It will speak to your spirit. It will definitely sharpen your skills. And I promise you, you'll be a better man, a better woman as a result of applying what is talked about on this call. Unfortunately, I can't say that you will be a better person just because you listened to the call. But I can say, whether it's 1% application or 100% application, I can promise you that you will be a better, sharper, more crisp, clear, concise, effective, efficient person, skilled as a result of applying what we talk about on this specific call. For those of you that are new, we teach you two specific things. Some Sundays, we teach you the specific skills that you need to get yourself to the very top of whatever it is that you are promoting. The word promotion means to make known. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not out in this world trying to make yourself known, whether you're promoting your own brand, whether you're promoting a job or a company that you work for, or a small or medium large business, we all need to be promoting something. The word promoting means to make known. So we teach you the specific skills that you need to become really, 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 really good at whatever it is that you're doing. The second thing that you'll hear us train on these calls on Sunday is we teach life skills as well. I always tell people my little story. I'm 44 years young, and when I was a lot younger, I'll never forget, I became very skilled at a very early age in my life because I took life pretty serious and I wanted to make something of myself, and I worked really hard to hang around the right people, ask the right questions, and most of all, apply what I was learning. And as a result of that, being in the right place at the right time, once again, with the right people and having the right information and applying myself, I was fortunate to become a multimillionaire at the young age of 25 years old. And that's the good part of the story. Made a lot of money very quick in life. But because my life skills did not match my business skills, what ended up happening to that money is, how did the little boy say it? What happened to all that money? Where did it go? In other words, it left me just as fast as it came to me. And why is that? Please write this down. I did not have the mental maturity to sustain what it was that I had obtained. I did not have the mental maturity to sustain what it was that I had recently back then obtained. And so this is the reason why we teach life skills on Sundays, because as you grow and develop, everything else around you should automatically reflect you. Think about that. As you grow, and when we talk about growing, we're not talking about you getting taller or shorter. What we're talking about is your philosophies, the principles, your perspectives. What does that mean? Let's break that down real quick. I want you to understand what you can anticipate from being on this platform Sunday after Sunday. You should be growing. And I want to clearly define today, what does growing really feel like? What does it look like? And frankly, what does it sound like? When we talk about that you should be growing, what that means is your philosophies, your perspective should grow and expand. I want you to picture in your mind a rubber band. You know, they say that when you stretch a rubber band and you stretch it, they say that it can never go back to its original size. I'd like to believe that your mind is the same way. Once we stretch your mind, now we can't do this without your conscious permission. You have to be open to receive. If you ain't open, then you won't receive anything, right? But once we stretch your mind, what should happen, and when you begin to notice this, these are signs that you're growing. What should happen is your actual perspectives will change. Let me give you an example. Let's just say, for example, I love to make fun of myself. I think it's quite funny, if you ask me. But let's just say you join this call and maybe you think to yourself that, man, this guy is just loud. And let's just say that you had a perspective or a belief system, a way of thinking before you met me, that maybe you thought that, I don't really like listening to loud people, because when people are talking loud, maybe they're full of themselves, or maybe you had a perspective that maybe they're really not too smart. Maybe they don't really know maybe they don't know too much. Why do they have to be so loud? And maybe your perspective was everybody that's loud is stupid, or they're just dumb, or they're just full of themselves. Well, I don't know. But perhaps you hang around this call and you listen and learn some things, and next thing you know, your perspective begins to shift or evolve. Write that down. Evolve. Write it down. Evolve means change. And you begin to think, well, there was this one guy that, I normally don't listen to loud people. Wasn't my cup of tea, says you. But there was this one guy named Romacio, and he was a loud speaker, but he was really intelligent. He really knew what he was talking about. And I found myself changing my perspective about loud people. Look, the same can be said for a black person who says, well, all white people are bad, and the white people, they want to keep you in slavery. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's just like it's not true that all black people love to eat soul food. I'm black. I don't really like soul food. That's not my favorite food. See, so what we're talking about, this call is designed to literally grow you. And to grow you, that means your perspective about a particular matter needs to evolve, expand. And the only way expansion can happen is you have to be open. And you have to understand that there's multiple ways to skin a cat. I know we all feel that we're very important in this world, and we are. But you're not the only perspective. There's other ways of looking at it. And when we talk about success and we talk about getting better and evolving and going further in life through different endeavors that we participate in, you're going to have to understand that you're going to be working with people. And if you're the type of person that walks around with a hammer and you think that if everybody doesn't see the world if everybody doesn't look at the world the way I do, then basically everybody's wrong and I'm right. See, if you walk around with a hammer and you have that type of belief system or that type of perspective, you're going to look at the world like they're one big nail. And every time you go somewhere, you're going to find yourself slamming that hammer on those people, i.e. a nail, and it's not going to take you very far in life. And then you're going to wonder why it's hard for you to develop good quality relationships with people. You're going to wonder why is it that, it's just difficult for you to break into some of those private rooms where information is being shared that could change your entire course of direction and shift everything about you. And then you're going to wonder why Mr. or Mrs. Right has never found them way to you. And little did you not know, all you had to do was change your perspective. When you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things will change. On that note, what I want to do is I want to take us into today's message because I'm really excited about it. Now, we've given you more than 30 seconds to go ahead and calendar in your calendar this 4 o'clock call between now and every single Sunday up until the end of this year. Guys, I'm telling you, you do not want to miss these calls. I've got something very special planned as we enter in the last 90 days. The last 90 days. It's not actually, we're October 15th, so is that November 15th, December 15th? It's not even 90 days. We've probably got something like almost 75 days before we hit the end of the year. Now, for those of you that are just came on board with us, we want you to know that January of 2022 means earlier this year, we told the entire world that this year was very intentional. We told the entire world that this year was the year of the miraculous. And we wasn't kidding. We weren't playing. And those of you that have been here with us throughout the entire year, you're noticing that every single call that we do, we always continue to let the world know this is the year of the miraculous. Now, here's what we're about to do. We're about to literally press in. And I'm going to define what it means to press in just a moment. What I want you to do, for those of you that have been listening both live and on the replay, I want you to remember, what was it at the beginning of this year that you wrote down, or maybe it was middle of this year, that you said, what was it that you wanted that was miraculous? What was that miraculous thing or two or three that you wanted? If you don't recall, grab a pen and paper right now. Do it now. And I want you to write down, what is it? What's the miraculous thing that you're wanting to be accomplished this year? I said miraculous. I didn't say something like get rid of a headache. That's taking Advil. We're talking about something miraculous that you want it to happen. What is it? I want you to grab a pen, right? Come on. Don't play around, guys. Get serious. Grab a pen. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Turn the TV off. Grab a pen real quick. If you're driving, pull over. I'm getting ready to show you how over the next 90 days between now and the end of the year that what we said would happen is going to happen. Now, if you're not willing to participate, then don't wonder why you won't elevate. If you're not willing to participate, then don't wonder why you won't elevate, because you didn't want to participate. But for those of you that are participating with me right now, let's go. I want you to write down, what was it? Was it a personal thing that you were expecting something miraculous to change in your life? Was it a financial thing? Was it a business thing? Was it a children thing? Was it a philanthropy thing? What was it? Whatever it was it a health thing? Whatever it was, write it down. This year is the year of the miraculous. 2022. This is the year. I'm very aware that on this call, we have different people from different backgrounds, different genders, different ages, different professions. We have some people on this call that have incredible relationships with their faith. They're very faith-based, and it's a discipline that they practice all the time, and they're very astute. And let's just say they're far up the ladder when it comes to faith. Basically, they're mature. And then we have some people on this call that don't believe in God, don't believe in faith at all. And then we have some people on this call that dabble with it. Yeah, I know about God a little bit. Yeah. But that I don't really, know how it really all works. Listen, it doesn't matter. Whoever you are on this call, you're my brother, you're my sister. I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. You hear me? I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. So I'm glad you're here. But I want to just share some principles with you really quickly as we talk about how to press in. We've got essentially almost 90 days left to go. And I want you to understand that what I'm getting ready to teach you, what we're getting ready to do together, this is not a magic trick. Please write that down. This is not a magic trick. I'm just going to show you some stuff that God has taught me, that I've learned, that truly does work. And before I show it to you, I want you to understand. I want you to fully understand, guys, that if you're living in a life of fear, that's the first thing I want to tell you, that's the first sign that literally, you're allowing the enemy to control your thoughts. Please write this down. You were made in a tripart being. I don't have time to dig into how do I know this. Just write this down. This is 1 billion% certain. 1/3 of you is made of flesh. 1/3 of you is made of spirit. Okay? And 1/3 of you is your soul. This is how God designed us. Write that down. 1/3 is flesh. You can touch it, you can see it, you can feel it. 1/3 is spirit. 1/3 is soul. Okay, we're not going to get all deep. I'm going somewhere with this. Write this down. Now, the flesh part of you is your earth suit. You can touch your legs, your body, your heart, your chest, your arms, your face. That's what we call your earth suit, right? That's your body. You can touch it, right? But then you also have a spirit. Some people may call that your energy, your attitude, right? Your spirit. You know, and then, you know, and some people say, you ever said, you know, I don't like his spirit. Something wrong with his spirit. She don't have the right spirit, right? Attitude, right? But then there's 1/3 of you that lives in sinless perfection, and it's called your soul. Your soul. And your soul is very important. And the reason why I want to single out your soul right now is because when God created you, he created you in his image, in his likeness. And all that simply means, guys, is you have the same ability that God has. Now, I know for some of you that are hearing me, from a fleshly standpoint, you're saying, come on, Moss, cut it out. I can't do what God does. I'm not God. Then who are you? You're the son of God. You're the daughter of God. He created you. You're created in his image, in his likeness. Now, I understand that we have to develop, write that down. We have to develop ourselves. We got to develop our mind, says the Bible. We have to develop our character. We have to develop, just write it down. Like a baby, we have to develop. And all developing means, it's a fancy word to say, I got to mature. It's like a baby. When I was a baby, I did this, I did that. I gaga, Google, ba, 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 mama, dada. And now I can say mother, father. But I couldn't say that when I was a baby. But as I, matured. As I matured, I learned that, oh, the woman that I kept screaming for when I was a kid, that's my mama. That's my daddy. Okay, so what we're talking about is you have to develop. So just because I'm saying something that you may not understand, it doesn't mean what I'm saying is not true. It just means you need to develop so that you can understand that what he's saying is actually exactly true. So you are created in God's likeness, in God's image. And I want to know, I want you to underline a word that I just said twice. I said you were created. And God gave you and I the ability to create. He gave us, I know, just follow, we're going somewhere. Don't worry, we're going somewhere. He knew that we were going to be born into this sinful world, this crazy world, this ever-evolving world, and he knew that as children of his, the biggest gift that he could have ever given us is the ability to create. So the Creator created you and gave you the ability to create things. I know some of you, money's an issue, health's an issue, relationship is an issue. We've got challenges. We're real people with real challenges. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how over the next 75 to 90 days, I'm going to show you how to press in. Write that down. I'm going to press in. I'm going to press in. But where we're going to start our press from, we're going to start our press. We're going to start our press from our spirit. We're going to start our press from our soul. That's where we're going to start from. Let me say that again. I want everybody to write that down. I'm starting my 75 or call it 90-day press. I'm starting it from my soul. I'm starting it from my spirit. I'm starting it from my soul. I'm starting it from my spirit. I'm starting it from my soul. I'm starting it from my spirit. I'm going to start there. Now let me explain why we're starting there. The reason why we're starting from the place that lives in sinless perfection, because see, God knew that you and I were going to miss the mark. He knew that we would never be perfect. He knew that we would make mistakes again and again, some mistakes we know about, some mistakes we don't know about. He knew that some people's some people grew up learning about God and grew up in the church and learning about faith, and while others of us don't have a clue about it, he knew that there were so many disadvantages and so much confusion. God knew all that. And because of his grace and mercy, because we were created in his image, there's a part of us that lives in sinless perfection. Let me say it to you a different way. For those of you that have children, and I know, I'm an adult right now, but I can tell you, do you remember when you were a little bitty baby and you were the innocent thing to your mother or father? You were just so innocent. There was nothing you could do that was wrong. You would fart and boo-boo and all this type of stuff all over the place, and they would just giggle and laugh. Oh, look at my cute little baby, right? You remember that? Now, if you fart and you boo-boo all over the place as an adult, what's wrong with you? You're dirty. You're nasty, right? Well, in other words, what I'm saying is, even though you were a cute little thing when you were little and, you could basically fall down and do all sorts of things, and even though as you grew up and you've made mistakes and maybe you've done some things that disappointed yourself or maybe disappointed your parents or whatever, your mother and father, they still love you. They still care about you. I know some of you might argue with me and say, well, no, my mom and dad, they don't love me. They don't care about me. They never call me. Just listen, humor me. What I'm trying to say to you is that God will be closer to you than a mother, a brother, a sister, a husband, a wife. God is not a man nor a woman. He's a spirit. He doesn't lie. His word is his bond. And his word will always, 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 always be true. And with that being said, going back to you were created, 1/3 of you in sinless perfection, even though all of the mistakes that you and I have made, some of them you know, some of them you don't know, God still looks at you as his child. Even if you haven't spoken to him in 50 years, he still, this is the type of creator you were created from. He still has not departed from you. I know you may feel like it, because you see, sometimes we look at God as a magic trick. And we say, well, if God was so real, well, then where is he at now? And if God was so real, then why did he let me slip and fall? And why did he let her hurt me? And this happened and that happened. And God is not Santa Claus. Get that through your skull. He's not Santa Claus. Let me prove to you God's love for you. There was once upon a time, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, where God got so mad at humans. He got so mad at how foul human beings could be. Can you believe it? This is God I'm talking about. He got so angry at the thing that he created, and because he gave us free will, we chose to become foul in our thought process, in our actions, in the things that we did. And we just were so bad. This is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago, that God sent a flood. And that flood killed every single person. It killed everybody except Noah and his family. And long story short, because of Noah's obedience back then, I'm just giving you the short story of this. Because of his obedience, God made a promise to Noah that he would never, ever, ever, ever again get angry and eliminate all of mankind. He would never intentionally do that again. To eliminate everything. He would never do it again. And God made that promise to Noah. And today, that promise still holds true. I'm not saying people have not died. Yes, death will always be amongst us. What is my point? God loves us so much that when he makes a promise, he keeps it. He keeps it. So as we're talking about pressing in, I want you to understand that we're going to start from our soul first. And this is the reason why I'm concentrating on this area first. Because I need your brain to understand that even though you may be foul in your ways, maybe you may not know much about God, or you may not know much about miraculous and faith, and maybe you just, maybe you're not, maybe you don't know a lot in that area. Does that mean that miracles will not happen for you between now and the end of the year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because you're just as much as God's child as I am. So this is not a race to who can be the cleanest, who can be the most perfect, and that's the one that's going to have miraculous things happen to them. That's not true. Now, what I love about God is that even though we're still developing, we're still maturing, we're still making mistakes, he's still in the blessing business. He's still in the blessing business. Because in his word, he made some promises. And I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but he made some promises. And as long as we hold him to what he said he would do, and we begin to act as though we know and expect it to happen for us, and we're going to talk about that over the next 30 minutes. Don't worry, we're going there. Let me say it again. As long as we, first of all, know that God he made us some promises. And what are those promises? He said, listen, you can have whatever you want. If you can believe for it, if you can believe it, you can have whatever you want. Mark 9:23, believe all things are possible. Mark 16 and 15, go into the world, preach the gospel to all creations. I want you to understand that if you can believe it, and if you truly can believe it, and you won't allow yourself, my favorite is Mark 11:23, where it says, go throw whatever mountain into the sea and do not doubt. And if you don't doubt, it will be yours. And so what I'm doing is I'm talking to the third of you that was made in sinless perfection. In other words, I don't even want to talk to your brain right now. I want to talk to your soul. And if your soul could believe that you were created from a higher power, you were created for a purpose, you were created with a purpose, you came from the highest of the highest of the high of royalty, even if you were born in a manger, even if you were born in the backseat of a cab. I'm trying to tell you your heritage. See, and if you don't allow yourself to believe in this, then you'll feel unworthy. You'll feel like, no, ain't nothing miraculous going to happen to me. And I'm about to show you what a mistake that is to think, and it's even a bigger mistake to even say it. But number one, write this down. We're pressing in. I'm teaching you how to press in. You start from your soul and your spirit. And so there has to be a part of you that says, you know what? He's right. God is much bigger than me. You got to know that God loves you. You got to know it. God wants the best for you, even if things have been very unfortunate for you. You got to find it deep in you to know that you didn't come. The Creator who created you, which is not your mom and dad, by the way. They're just the ones that birthed you. But the Creator that created you, you didn't come from trash. You just got to hang on to just hang on to that. That's number one. Now, number two, we're talking about pressing in. Number two, you have to understand, and I'm going to give it to you very simple today. Because God gave you the ability to create, when we talk about pressing in, what has to happen is you have to open your mouth and you have to speak. And let me explain to you in a simplistic way why it's so essential that you speak what you want, even if it's not what you see. And you have to do it religiously, because you came from a God who created you. He spoke things into existence. He said, let there be, and it was. He spoke it. And by you choosing, write this down, by you choosing to believe in the power of you speaking. And let me explain to you why you speaking works. See, the reason why we started on step 1, and I talked so long about step 1 that we just covered a minute ago, because I know that you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I know that, blah, 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 blah. And your head is trying to, but I didn't do this today, and I didn't go to church, and I didn't do, stop all that. Stop. Just stop. Stop, 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 stop. Your blessings are not predicated about you doing everything perfectly. That's not what your blessing is predicated upon. But your blessings are predicated upon you being. Being. I want to really get you to distinguish the difference. My hope and prayer today is that you will develop enough in your perspective, in your maturity, to understand the difference between doing and being. And I want to really drive the nail in here on this point, because I want you to get this. Even though you might be toe up from the flow up, and you might be messed up, and all hell could be breaking loose, but the moment you decide to subscribe to the principles that God has set forth, you can then participate in the promises. Let me say that again. The moment you begin to subscribe in the principles that God has already set forth, you can participate in the promises. And what is the principle that we're talking about right now as we're talking about how to press in? We're talking about you have to open your mouth and speak. You have to. You have to do it. You have to continue to speak and hold it before your eyes of what you want. Now, what does that really look like? I am saying to you, yes, and I'm going to make it very elementary for everyone. From this day forward, between now and the end of the year, I want you to 10 times a day to write down, I am so happy and grateful for blah, 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 blah. Let me give you an example. I am so happy and grateful that I make XYZ a year. I am so happy and grateful that I am so happy and grateful that I finally lost 30 pounds. I am so happy and grateful. You have to write it down. Even though that may not be truly what's happening right now, you have to write that down. You have to speak what it is that you want. And the reason why you have to do that, guys, because now you are living and you are literally in your creative self. You're trying to create. You are creating when you're doing that. Now write this down. While you're creating, you're also waiting. While you're creating, you're also waiting. While you're creating, you're also waiting. And we're going to talk about what you must do while you're waiting. But before the doing has to happen, you have to be. And to be means I am a queen. Declare what you want. I am a king. Speak what you want. The Bible, God told us, he said to us, he said, listen, Adam, I've given you the power and the authority, and I want you to go out into the world and take dominion. That means rule over. Take dominion over everything, whatever you want. Just take dominion over it. So there you are with a health challenge. You got to take dominion over it. There you are with the financial challenge. You got to take dominion over it. There you are with the relationship challenge. You got to take dominion over it. You see, but again, when I say take dominion, it doesn't mean I just spoke at it. I snap my fingers and all of a sudden it's over like a magic trick. That's not what it means. But it means that even though this may be in front of you, you're rejecting that. No, no, no. I'm rejecting that. No, no, no. You're going to continue to speak exactly what it is that you want. Exactly what you want. And what I'm telling you to do, write it down 10 times a day. Speak it over and over and over and over and over and over. Every single day. This is step 2. This is step 2. This is very important, step 2. When you write things down and you begin to speak things on a consistent basis, it lets us know what it was that you're expecting. It lets God know you're expecting this to happen. And remember, God is all about faith while the enemy is all about fear. So when you are speaking it, always remember this. As long as you have God's approval based upon his promise, you don't need anyone else's validation. I'm going to say that again. I want you to circle that 3 times for me. As long as you have God's approval, and you do, he said you can ask for whatever you want, as long as it's according to his will, it shall be done. As long as you have God's approval, you don't need anyone else's validation. And the reason why it's that way is, again, we're talking about faith. Do you believe that what it is that you want to happen can and will happen for you? The reason why we're dealing with your soul and your spirit first, because what I love about real faith is not in your brain. Real faith lives in your soul. It's not in your brain. Because your brain will say, well, that can't happen. That's almost impossible. Come on, what do you think this is? A miracle? Is that what you're expecting? Yes, I am. See, so it takes something, because your brain will shut down. Your brain will say, come on, man, stop. Come on, stop. But see, that's when your brain is constantly living there, you're letting the enemy rule your thought process. And it's a terrible thing to let a slave come and rule the king's castle. Let me say that again. It's a terrible thing to allow a slave to rule the king or the queen's castle. So you have to take dominion over your thought process. It's very important that you get this today and you begin to apply it today. So number 2, open your mouth, speak exactly what you want, write it down 10 times a day between now and the end of this year. Now, let's go to step 3. We're talking about pressing in. Step 3 is the work part. This is the part, to me, is the easy part. Step 3 is the work part. It's the easy part, or the easier part. Let me define what that means for all of you that are listening. The toughest part about becoming a millionaire, or having more than what you have right now, or that miracle or that you want to happen for you, the toughest part of that actually happening for you is you believing that it can happen to you. That's the toughest part. That's why we just spent the most amount of time on all that. That's why I just took you through a short, accelerated course on you were made, a third of you was made in sinless perfection, meaning when God looks at you, he still sees a blank white sheet, not a sheep, but a sheet. Like the canvas is clear as day. It's as clean as can be. Snow white. He looks at you and sees perfection. But see, that's not how we look at ourselves. But see, God knows what he put inside of us. He knows the potential that lies in you. And his love for you, he wants you to begin to believe it, to discover it, and mature in it. That's what he wants. He wants you to believe it. First of all, he wants you to discover it. Then he wants you to believe it. Then he wants you to mature in it. He wants you to mature in it. So the toughest part of you having the miracle between now and the end of the year that you're talking about is believing that there's still enough time and it can happen for you. And the reason why we call this the year of the miraculous, because we're talking and we're expecting things that go beyond your comprehension. We're talking and we're expecting things that go beyond your comprehension. You ever done something and you were like, oh my God, I have no idea how that just happened, but it did just happen. That's what I'm talking about. Miracles. It's beyond your comprehension. And we said, and we stand firm, 2022, the year of the miraculous. And here we are, 75 to 90 days left to go, and the press is on. We're about to press in. And the press, it starts with pressing through your soul, through your spirit. And today I just kind of talked about that. And step number 3 is the work process. You still got to work. You still got to work. Now, when we talk about work, what this means is you're going to have to, whatever it is you're believing for, you're going to have to have great courage. Great courage. Listen to me. Listen to me well. I know it's very simple what I'm saying. You're going to have great courage. Sometimes it takes great courage to stay in a situation. Sometimes it takes great courage to leave a situation. You're going to have great courage. Sometimes when we talk about great courage could be, let me give you an example. Over 3 years ago, a profession that I had served for 16 years, made a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, helped a lot of people, a lot of ups and downs, made a lot of money. A profession that I had to labor, sweat and tears and, blood and all this stuff to get to the very top of it. But I did it. With the help of God, I did it. And God whispered in my ear and told me it's time. It's time to move on to something else. It took great courage for me to leave a profession and not even know where I was going. I'm giving you an example of courage. You're expecting miraculous things to happen to you? Miraculous. But you think it's just going to happen if you just sit in your bathtub? No. The Bible says they were healed as they went. Take up your bed and walk. They were healed as they went. That means as they went, as they moved, you got to work. Now, some of you say, but Mas, I go to work every day. What do you mean? Let me ask you a question. Is you maintaining or having the job that you have right now, is that the miraculous miracle that you're waiting on? If it is, then stay right there. But if you've been believing for more, waiting for signs, promptings, confirmations, insights, consider this phone call knocking at your door right now. This is the year of the miraculous. You know, every time I sit there and I think, well, wait a minute, well, maybe I'm just waiting on God. You know, people talk about, you know, God's perfect timing. Yeah, I understand God's perfect timing, but listen, there's still stuff you need to do to get in position. Because it's still, you got to remember, it's still free will. Always remember, God's perfect will for your life does not automatically happen. Write that down. God's perfect will for your life does not automatically happen. You have to align with it. You have to choose it, even though it was already pre-selected for you. But because you were made and the way you were created, he created you and gave you a spirit of free will. That means you have to choose it. So that means you have to knock until that door opens. You have to keep seeking until you find. You have to work. You have to have great courage and great faith. So number 3 is the work part. I call it the easy part because that's the part that I just got to take action. Now, for me, I do call it easy because it's easy for me to take action. Action, action, action. Just take action. Action, 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 right? For me, it's easy, but for some of you, that might be the hard part. But I know for a fact the harder part is to believe that it can happen to you. Here I am right now, guys. I'm doing this call, and I'm in Vancouver, Canada right now. We've got 7 minutes left to go before this call ends. And I'm not going to get into my business why I'm in Vancouver, Canada, but let's just say I'm here expecting miraculous things to take place. Everywhere I go, miraculous things are happening. It's happening for me. It's happening through me. It's happening as me. Write that down. This is what you got to get. Whoever you are, whoever's listening right now, whoever can hear me, you got to understand how the miraculous miracle is going to happen to you. It's going to happen for you, number 1. Number 2, it's going to happen through you. That means you got to do something. For the miraculous thing to take place, God needs you as a vessel. He needs you to do something. What does that mean? He needs you to be expecting it. That's why we talked about part 1. He needs you to believe that he needs you to align. He wants to do it for you, but he's not Santa Claus. But you've got to be expecting it. Why? Because God is a faith-based God. He responds to the measure of your what? Your faith. He responds to the measure of your faith, the measure of your expectations. You in shallow water, God will do shallow things. You go in deep waters, God will get deeper and deeper. You go deep, 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 God will rock your world. The deeper you go, the deeper he is. The stories have taught us this. So step 1 is you've got to be expecting it. You speaking it, you writing it down, confirms your expectation. It confirms it over and over and over, day after day. God, do it now. I'm expecting it right now. I'm expecting it right now. And if you don't do it, Lord, I know you're able. I still know you're able. So number 1, you got to expect it. That's why we're saying you got to speak it. You got to write it down. Excuse me, number 1, you got to believe it. Number 2, you got to speak it. You got to write it down. And then number 3, you got to do the work. You got to do the work, baby. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. And the work is centered around something that's going to be courageous. And you're going to have to be consistent in it. Can't just do it one time. You got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. I want you to think, as it relates to whatever it is you're believing for, we're talking about the work right now. What work? And again, when I say the word work, what I'm talking about is great courage, great faith. What courageous work have you been delaying? Are you afraid of doing? Maybe you don't know how to do it. Guys, I don't want to steal the show here, but I can just tell you the information and the things that I've learned over the last 3 years, since I decided to have great courage and great faith and to pursue something completely different than what I've done the last 16 years, has completely rocked my world. It hasn't been easy by any stretch, but the things that I have learned, the people that I've met, the new doors that have been opened and continue to keep opening, it is insane what is happening to me. And unfortunately, this is not the proper time nor platform to express it all. But one day I think I'll make a movie. And I just wish somebody, even if it's just one person out there, would dare believe that what I just gave you today, these are the 3 steps on how to manifest miraculous things in your life between now and the end of this year. We have laid it out. I want to encourage you. I want you to re-listen to this call. Make sure you write down the specific things that were for you, specifically the 3 steps. Specifically the 3 steps. I want to make sure that you understand when this phone hangs up, the press is on. You've got 75 days left for the miracle that you were expecting, that you started way back in January, to take place. Listen to me. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not too young. You're not too late. You're right on time. But what you've got to do is you've got to go into believing in God's grace, His mercy, His promises. Write this down. You've got to go into His grace. That forgives everything. There's nothing you've done that can't be forgiven. He'll never separate His love from you. So that means you still qualify, baby. Write that down. Write that down to yourself. I still qualify, baby. I'm right on time. Yes, sir, you are. Yes, ma'am, you are. You got to go into His grace, go into His mercy, go into His promises, and you got to go into the Holy Spirit. You got to go in. You got to press in. God, talk to me. Talk to me. How do I get in position? All right, I believe I'm ready to do the work. God, reveal to me the strategy. Reveal to me the hidden riches that other people overlook. My eyes are open. Open my eyes, Lord. Talk to them. I believe it. And I'm ready to receive it. I'm ready to receive it in me, through me, as me. What does that mean? It means it's going to happen to you. Okay, you understand that, right? It's going to happen in you, inside of you. In other words, you're not going to be the same. It's going to happen in you. And it's going to happen through you. Like, wait a minute, Carla. Wait a minute. It just seemed like yesterday you was like this, but now you like that. What happened to you? That's what that means. It's going to happen in you, through you, as you. All because you were expecting it. And to prove your expectations, not only did you believe for it by writing it down 10 times a day, speaking it over and over throughout the day, but you also went out and did the courageous work in anticipation and in expectation of the miraculous miracle happening to you. Reminds me of the Hebrew boys. Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to denounce my faith for God. That's what they said to the king. So I tell you what, if you want to go ahead and burn me up, then this is how this is going to go down. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in this fire, and the God that I serve is so able to do miraculous things, He either is going to meet me in the fire, okay, or even if we do get burned up, He's still able to save us. So I'm going to go ahead, do the work, and jump in the fire anyway, because I'm not going to denounce my faith against God. That's out of the question. You see that? His faith was so strong. And they did the courageous work, throw me in the fire. And they threw him in the fire. And lo and behold, the man said, wait a minute. When I threw in Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, all 3 of the Hebrew boys, he said there was 3 when I threw them in. But, sir, I see a 4th in the fire. It looks like the Son of God. They came out of the fire, unburned, unscathed. Everyone else got burned up except them. Not an inch of smoke on them. Now, some of you think, oh, that's a great Christmas carol, Romacio. That's a phenomenal story. But see, this is what I mean. That's your brain talking. Then explain to me, how was man created? Explain to me the seas, the mountains. Explain to me the sun, the moon, the stars. I'll wait. Explain it to me. That's what I thought. Miracles happening every day. Every day. What you have to do is open your heart, then open your mind so that it can happen to you. And today what we've done, we've given you 3 simple elementary steps that if you apply them, it shall be done to you according to your faith. This is the year of the miraculous. It is the 4th quarter. We will not change our confession under pressure. We said and still believe this is the year that miraculous things will happen in your life. Once again, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen through you. And it's going to happen, best of all, as you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the California Kid. Thanks for jumping on. We love and appreciate all of you guys. And I'll promise you guys, we'll see you guys next week. Get ready for some serious fire that we're going to be bringing to these calls between now and the end of the year. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Goodbye for now.